Well, it was only 14 hours a day, so I can do this anytime, right? There's no problem.
That's right.
I'm impressed that Mark is still married after this.
Yeah, I mean, guys, this is her first baseball season, experiencing this, living together. I mean, we dated, but it's different when you're in the same house, and she's doing great. But it's an adjustment. It really is. I mean, you guys, you know that. I think the word obsession has come up once or twice, because it's a big time commitment.
The only thing you can do, Marcus, is lean into it. That's the only thing.
Yeah, right.
That's what's happened in this house. We've just leaned into the obsession. That's all you can do.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I tried to quit coaching twice, and it just doesn't take. It just doesn't. It's not functional. So we leaned into it on the other side. So we could score some points tonight in Tucson. It looks like. It does not look like the 27 outs are going to come easily for either club.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a really fun Super. I think we all kind of had this one circled when the matchups came out. Actually, I had this one, and I had NC State Arkansas, which that one was kind of a dud today. But this one's going to be good. If Ole Miss can find a way to steal this game with Nikhazy going tomorrow,
yeah.
Ooh, boy.
Yep. Yeah. Even if Derek Diamond can get like 15 outs, even if it's just terrible, that's fine. Like, just be be in the game terrible. That's totally cool. Like 8-7, get your 15 outs. Just don't wreck the game. That's your assignment,
Don't
Derek Diamond.
Yeah.
Just be within reach.
Keep a sentence on. That's really it. And that's the thing, because Ole Miss, they can mix and match at the end of the game. Right, they have some options. They're not always consistent, right? So, but if they can get to Broadway, then isn't that the old, how do you get to Broadway? You practice. But that's what they need to do today. Is they've got to get to Broadway.
How about Ben Upton's asking Lubbock? We had a graphic that said it was 106, but felt like 103. I think that might have been a typo, because what the graphic should have said was it's 106, but feels like hell. We shouldn't even have put a number up there.
That seems iffy. Rudes, we were talking about that earlier, just about Stanford kind of setting the tone with Tim Tow's home run in the first. Tim Tadlock going to the bullpen a little earlier than expected to frankly, some guys, and you kind of pointed out in the broadcast, some guys they haven't really used a lot. Were you a little surprised at how quick they went to the bullpen, and what were your thoughts on that game as somebody who called it for the mothership?
I wasn't. I thought Tim Tadlock went to the bullpen at the right time. I just thought Chase, Hampton, Stark couldn't have gone worse. He couldn't execute pitches. And then he's really getting into it with the umpire. I thought, I get it that there are times where you're going to have anger with the umpire, but I felt like Texas Tech really lost their cool with the umpire. Meanwhile, Stanford's putting a 4 spot on you. And by the time they regain their composure, they're staring down the barrel of Brendan Beck with a 4-0 lead. And then Hampton, so if you remember, Hampton got 4 zeros after that. So they scored 4 in the first, and then it looked like Texas Tech was going to make a move, but they just couldn't get to Beck. And so I thought the 2 stories in the game where Brendan Beck was unreal, and I really think that Stanford's experience in Starkville in 2019, where they literally were overwhelmed from the second they got off the bus, I think that really served them well. We got to interview Beck after the game. It wasn't televised. It'll probably be on the internet or something, but we just asked him about that. Like, hey, you guys show up here. It's hotter than heck, and the winds are blowing out, and you guys are wearing black jerseys, for God's sakes. And Beck's like, yeah, that was my choice. Like, I want to look good. We're going to play good. It was like it was kind of like his way of saying, we saw Stark Vegas. There's nothing that could be worse than that. And so, and he was unbelievable. Like that might be the best pitching performance I saw this year.
Oh, wow.
I think given the caliber of the offense that he's facing, given the stakes, the weather, all of it, and just how I thought he was just masterful. It was just a clinic in how you do it, and it's not like you don't have 99 like Gavin Williams has, but I mean, Runes, the way he's painting the block to both sides, just the angle, driving it down into the zone, slider going and the curveball going. I mean, the way he mixed, I'm not saying it's the best performance I saw all year, but it was really impressive.
Yeah, it was a clinic. It really was. And like what you just said, he was just driving that fastball into the 4 spot, like down the way. Like, what are you going to do about it? Curveball anytime he wanted, slider anytime he wanted. And, by the time the Texas Tech hitters would adjust, he'd get on to the next theme. First time through, fastball down the way. Next time through, breaking balls. Next time through, we're back to the fastball down the way. And they, it was the other thing, if you saw the in-game interview, David Esker said, hey, like, be careful. That's not our thing. We just need to be reckless. And, I get it. Like, if you got a bunch of smart kids, like, let's not get in our own way, guys. Like, this is not about thinking. This is about competing. And they were, man, Stanford was aggressive.
Yeah. I like this comp here from Chris on Periscope. 2019 Stanford at Mississippi State, very similar to Vandy 2018 at Oregon State. Next year, after Vandy gets kind of steamrolled by that juggernaut Oregon State team that goes on to win it all, Vandy comes back and wins it all themselves. So, I like that. It's a good call.
Yeah, that is a good comp. I had that Vandy Super Regional, and that Oregon State team was like a pack of small, angry animals that they climbed all over. What was the pitcher with the Braves now? Wright, Kyle Wright. They climbed all over him like 12 Wolverines that hadn't eaten in 2 weeks. Like it was wild. I mean, and Kyle Wright obviously is an immense talent. It was awesome.
Did you see the small Wolverine on the field in Fayetteville today?
No, was it really?
It was a little rodent.
It was like, I think it was a groundhog maybe or something like that.
Mink or something.
We're just going to call it a Wolverine. I think that's more fun.
Yes. Boys, can we get stats on Daniel Susak's second half? I think he hit 1,200 in the second half. How does he have these numbers? He was hitting ninth in March.
Ooh, nice play.
Yeah, it's nuts, Runes. You're right. And the power, too, is really calm.
He was like somebody said, one of the publications gave him co-National Freshman of the Year. In March, he was fighting to stay in that lineup. God bless him.
Yeah, it's interesting. Interesting, Runes. A Pac-12 coach I was talking to yesterday for a Super Regional preview thought Susak was their best hitter by far, which I thought was interesting.
He looks confident as heck, right? Yeah. Like he's standing in there like a real dude.
Look at this play.
Nice play.
Is that Bench at third base?
I think it's Bench. Yes. Did you guys see the play earlier in the game where Bench slid into the tarp and it looked like it had injury written all over it?
It looked like it might have hurt.
I texted that to somebody on a thread like that. Come on, West Coast. I mean, come on. Like that, it looks as safe as a construction site. Like, can we clean it up for God's sakes?
What's up with
if there's anyone who can take a hit, it's Bench. I mean, how many hit by pitches?
That's
He's
right.
20 something. Right. I mean, that's a tough kid, right? Yeah. So he looks at that tarp and goes, "Come on, let's do it again."
he's playing the Roger Dorn role since we've had some major league talk since they're playing High Corbett. You guys seen? I'm sure you all have seen. Somebody asked about it on Twitter. The video Arizona did in 2017, like spoofing Major League, and you have Jay Johnson, doing the whole. I mean, it was fantastic. But anyway, that's a digression.
That is a good one. It's worth looking up. That's good. Dave Lawn texted me before his game, and he put this comp on Brendan Beck today. He said Beck equals Messina, and there is like some visual resemblance to that.
Kind of the same style. You're driving
like
down the zone
with a lot of spin, not a lot of change ups.
I like that. That is a good comp.
It's still a long way to go in Lubbock, though. I fear for Stanford, if Alex Williams doesn't win tomorrow, they could get beat by a wide margin on Sunday.
You've been skeptical of their pitching depth, and hey, even they win the regional after losing Sunday, but they did it with their bats. It wasn't with their pitching. Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like if it goes to Game 3, they have to win another game like that one. That the Game 7 against Irvine.
Yeah. Although if I'm Tim Tadlock, I don't know that I'm feeling awesome about Monteverde or Montgomery against Stanford sitters, right? Like if I'm Tadlock, I'm feeling like, dang, we better be ready to score 8 or 9 runs, or we're gonna be on the wrong end of this thing.
Still 3-2 Rebs. All right.
So Rune, how is broadcasting the games from your couch? I mean, from home.
It's there are good things, and then there are not good things. The good things are the convenience, the the not traveling, that type of stuff. It's actually awesome. It's awesome in a lot of ways. You can do more games, those types of things. I get to do the ACC studio show after the game. Like I couldn't do that if I was, but like it's like working from home, right? Like just the distractions of, like I'm in the middle of, it's the first time I ever broadcast a game with Carl Ravitch. Like I'd be lying if I didn't say I was a little anxious about that. And, in the third inning, the UPS guy's ringing the doorbell, it's like, okay, that's not awesome. That's not.
How do your tiny dogs react when the doorbell rings?
Dogs, right?
Well, the good news, bad news there is they're tiny old dogs now, so they can't even hear the dang doorbell. So that's the one blessing of them becoming more experienced dogs.
I got one of those Nest doorbells last year, and the best thing about it is you can turn off the internal chime that the dogs are conditioned to hearing. And so now, like, I just have the thing make an announcement. Someone is at the door rather than using the doorbell chime. And so the dogs get fooled. They don't even know. And it saved my bacon on a lot of radio shows because I've had more than a few of those interrupted by UPS people and barking dogs over the years.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, though, F, to finish that question, I think it's a real blessing for the regular season, but it was disappointing. I'm kind of torn on super regionals. Like, I really feel like we need to be there for super regionals because the atmosphere is so important. Right. But I would also say that, man, like, and for all of us, right? Like, hey, you travel for conference tournament week, and then you travel for regionals, and then you travel for supers, and then you travel for Omaha. I mean, you look up and you've just been gone for 6 weeks. And so, again, it was really nice to get that email that says, hey, we're going to be home for super regionals. So you get a week to catch your breath.
Right.
Speaking of dogs, I'm stuck at home this weekend because we couldn't get into our dog boarding place. And so this is the first time that I can remember that I won't be at a super regional live. But like you said, it's kind of a blessing in disguise. I get to hang out in the Fit Cave with all you fine gentlemen, watch all the games, as they overlap tomorrow, which is going to be fun. And, rest up a little bit before Omaha. Maybe this will keep me fresh.
Hey, let me pose a question to you guys. This is a question that was posed to me on All ACC tonight. Okay, and I'll phrase it as a statement. Put a positive spin on NC State's game today. Go.
You didn't burn your best bullpen arms?
Exactly. Villeman and Justice are fresh. I mean, it's just like the game in the ACC tournament, the dead game against North Carolina. In fact, they started the guy they started in that game, I believe, is the first guy they brought out of the bullpen today. Somebody wasn't even on my radar, before that dead game. I mean, they're just getting guys work. It's just a throwaway game. After they fell down 7-1, it was a throwaway game. Yeah,
it's the old coaching saying, right? Like before the game, they needed 2 wins for Omaha. They still need 2 wins for Omaha. It's and it does feel like to me the formula. I'm curious if you guys would agree with this. The formula for NC State is get a lead, and then Justice has to defend that lead against Cops. Yeah, and like that. That's then it's got to happen twice.
That's exactly right.
I guess the other thing is that they have now experienced, bomb, right? Yeah. So they understand what they're up against, and they'll be more comfortable tomorrow. So you can look at it that way.
The only problem, Meth, is it's like I think about Stanford a couple of years ago, and it's like they experienced it and never got comfortable with it.
Yeah, maybe not.
They just got overwhelmed with uncomfortable.
It's easy for the 50-year-old guy here, but I'm at 20, maybe you're not thinking that way.
But is Fayetteville day games again tomorrow?
I can
Hold
get that
on.
for you.
Hold on,
It
let me look on
is-
D1Baseball.
3 p.m.
It is, yeah,
3
2
Eastern,
Central.
2
Mm-hmm.
I do think that's a little bit of a break for NC State. I didn't see how good the environment was today, but certainly it'd be more lubricated at night than it would be at 2 p.m., I would think.
Yeah.
We should, Kendall, I'm going to give you a chance to answer. We're getting bludgeoned with questions about Tony V. Let's, what do you think, Kendall? Does Tony V stay in Knoxville, or do you want to speculate on that? I want to give the people what they want here.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
All right. Well, there you go.
My prediction is he will stay at Tennessee and he will sign a deal that's worth about 1.2 to 1.4 million, 4 million, with a new ball, with almost pretty much a new ballpark.
What do you guys think? I think
that's a
that's
commitment.
what Tony should do. I
No
think
doubt.
he's a perfect fit for Tennessee. They're going to pay him a bunch of money. They're going to give him a stadium upgrade.
Yeah.
The only reason to leave is because they don't have the extra fund. They don't have the extra scholarships. But other than that, it's going to be his baby, right? Like, he's going to be the best coach they've ever had if it keeps trending this way. And there's something to that. Taking over for legends that ain't easy.
Doubt.
You're right.
Taking over from an area at LSU would not be very easy.
Yeah,
but I get it. You when you don't have the salary cap that others have, that can really get in your dome.
Hey, Runes, here's a question from the comments I'll direct your way. Sunshine Steph wants to know, with Bloomquist as ASU's new head coach, do you think their chances of reaching at least the Super Regional next year are better or worse? I don't know if we're comparing that to versus Tracy or versus hiring somebody else, but let's just say in general.
I would say
0% either way.
I'd say it still feels unlikely that they're going to be in a Super Regional next year. I think it's not fair to answer that question until we know who Willie's staff's going to be, right?
True.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know I coached Willie. I couldn't think more highly of Willie Bloomquist. He's awesome in every way, but there is not one function of this job that he's done before. And so I think that question is a really good point for the ASU fan base. Like, hey, you have to kind of reset expectations here. Like, you're going to have to give Willie time to grow into this job. You're literally throwing someone into an incredibly hard job where he hasn't experienced any of that job yet. So to think that it's going to be plug and play, it is not going to be plug and play. And not, we don't know how many kids are going to transfer. We don't know who the staff's going to be. There's a lot of unanswered questions still.
My feeling is, generally speaking, you're setting yourself back a couple of years anytime you make a coaching search. Now, a coaching change. Now, there are exceptions. Obviously Tony Vitello was an exception, but generally speaking, I mean, you got to start your recruiting process all over again. If you've got a great staff like Tracy had there with Ben Greenspan, who he really can recruit. I mean, just look at all the players they had in that team last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then you finally get your pitching coach, Jason Kelly. And if you want to, I think, attribute the lack of success, I guess, of Tracy Smith at Arizona State to one thing, it is he couldn't find the right pitching coach until it was too late. Jason Kelly was the guy. Like, Jason Kelly is a superstar pitching coach. They had him. They would have been, I'm convinced, they would have been a perennial contender, now that they had the right people in place. And I get it. Like, I get why they pulled the plug, but frankly, I think it was a mistake. But Arizona State fans are sick of hearing me defend Tracy Smith, so I yield my time.
I will say this about Ray Anderson. Number one, I don't really get his approach on anything because he kind of admitted that he doesn't want to spend money at Arizona State, which I found kind of ridiculous considering the history.
So why would you say that? You can mean it, but why do you say that publicly?
He's really open, man. His quotes are really like he's not afraid.
Nothing says defeatist attitude like saying, "Well, we're not going to spend money like the SEC does."
Yeah.
Nothing says throwing the towel.
Well, and Kendall, think about this. He used the word mediocre in his quotes, and like to Eth's point, right? Like, it's okay to think that, but mediocre. When he used the word mediocre, that didn't just reflect on Tracy Smith.
It was personal.
Yeah, but think about it, if I'm a player in that program,
Yeah.
he's calling me mediocre too, right? So
Right. The
and
optics
meanwhile,
are
I've got
awful.
half of the Power 5 buzzing my phone.
Yeah.
So I will say the good news is they acted so quickly. I don't know if you'd agree with this, KR, but the fact that they acted so quickly, maybe they can maintain the roster and the recruiting classes, because if they can't, boy, it's going to get really ugly before it gets better. If they
so
can maintain, go
Jack
ahead,
Moss
KR.
is in the portal. Jack Moss is in the portal now. I've been told that Ethan Long's pretty close to being in the portal. We'll see if that actually happens. He's not yet. But Jack Moss, who I think is one of their better young players, is already in the portal. Be interested to see if he stays in there.
I think they'll be able to keep Jack Moss for this reason. So Jack Moss, this is going to go really deep on you guys. Jack Moss played at Cherry Creek High School in Colorado. Mark Johnson's the coach there, famous coach, 800 wins. Coach Jay's a legend. Coach Jay's son, Tyler, played at Arizona State, Tyler Johnson. He's a pastor in Phoenix now. Tyler and Willie were roommates in college. So, like they're like great friends. So, Jack Moss's high school coach is connected to Willie Bloomquist. So I think I would be surprised if they don't keep Jack Moss. Ethan Long's a wild card. He's a kid that's, changed his mind on high schools, on college commitments. That one's going to be interesting. But I think, if the tough thing for Willie Bloomquist is I think the world of Ben Greenspan. I would keep him. But the question is, if you keep Ben Greenspan, can you keep Mike Early? Because maybe Mike Early wants to be a paid coach now, which is, again, so ridiculous that we're even still in have that discussion. But if you lose Ben or Mike Early, either way, you're taking a hit, right? You lose Mike Early, you're losing, a guy that's got a great reputation as hitting coach. If you lose Ben, Ben Greenspan has been carrying that load in recruiting, and all those relationships, in theory, go away.
And that's true. And we see this every time there's a coaching change. We think, well, why don't you keep the existing guy and maintain those relationships? But how often does that really happen, right?
Almost
the guys
never,
want to come in. Yeah, they want to do it their own way. They want to bring in their own guys that they're comfortable with and they have the relationship with.
Yeah.
So that's just
this is Kendall, I'd be curious your take on this. This is one of those tricky coaching changes, and A&M is very similar, where you're not taking over a program that was in tatters, right? Like, Tracy Smith I know ASU got sick of hearing Tracy talk about 2020, but it was a real thing, right? Like they did have 4 players taken in the first 100 picks. Like that actually really happened. And so, and then this year's team with all those injuries and all that youth did actually make a regional. And so now that's a fairly high bar to clear, I would think.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You could argue right now, and it certainly sounds like Anderson and Tracy Smith still a little bit more personal than Rob Childress at A&M. But you could really argue that COVID pretty much ended their careers, because ASU probably has a legitimate shot to be a super regional team at the least last year, and A&M with Asa Lacy and Christian Roa.
Yeah,
I mean, what would they have done in conference play? They probably went 40+ games and host a regional with those two guys.
Agreed.
So it's just unfortunate, but
hey, I'm gonna jinx this, but Derek Diamond really showing you something right now. Like I thought he was getting bounced in the first inning. That was getting ugly.
Yeah, him and Siltis both have broken off a couple of pretty good breaking balls here lately.
Mike Bianco went out to the mound in the first, and that was not a pleasant conversation he was having with Diamond. Well, that's deep sauce.
Boy.
Foul.
Yeah.
See, there's another reason why David Seifert is the director of credibility, because I remember him bragging about Kobe Cotto, and I was thinking, gosh dang it, Seif, you got to quit sniffing glue. That kid is just a nice player. He's not like a real dude. And guess what? Kobe Cotto is a real dude. He's a really good player.
I think Seif's a big Dante Williams fan also. I think he probably is. I think haven't you and Seif argued about Dante Williams a little bit? Everyone likes Dante.
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
Well,
I don't see Dante Williams as a big leaguer. And the JBJ comp is, like that's hard because Jackie is, an accomplished big leaguer.
Jackie's an 80 defender in center field, even though he's not, he's about a 55 runner. It's just that instinctive, and that's what makes him so special, really, more than anything else.
Yeah. But Dante Williams is an on-base machine, right? Like I want that guy on my college team all day long. But yeah, I don't know that Dante Williams is an average defender in center field for the next level. I think he might even be a corner. I think Dante Williams plays quick, but I don't think he's a blazer when you really put a watch on it. Could be wrong though. Somebody's asking, Jason Wirtz is asking Tracy Smith. I think Tracy will get an opportunity like Mick Aoki got, where, in kind of a non-power conference. I think Tracy's got a heck of a resume now. Like, it's easy to forget, but he was right at the front of that Big Ten resurgence.
Yeah, he got Indiana to Omaha, and
yeah. And it's not like Arizona State was terrible. I mean, they were a 2 seed in a regional this year. Right. It's not like the program just plummeted.
After losing, go ahead, Moose.
No, yeah, what you were going to say, Fitzy, with losing what they projected as their entire weekend rotation and a relief arm and their 3-hole hitter, who they really needed.
Yeah.
Kendall and I think both didn't give them a chance in hell when they lost all those guys bang, bang, bang in the first month of the season. We both thought they're not a regional team. There's no way they can get there. And they did, man. And then the guy loses his job. It's mind-boggling in some ways. Could have done a better coaching job.
You know where Tracy's personality would actually fit in really well if he'd be willing to take this job is Hawaii. Like, his personality would actually meet Hawaii pretty well.
And Tracy's he's a really interesting out-of-the-box thinker, and I think that job needs that. I think if you just kind of run a college baseball program playbook in Hawaii, it fails because they're just not a good fit for the Big West in baseball, and so they were a much better fit for the WAC.
Yeah.
By
the way, we've had so many questions about this. We're gonna go around the quad box here, and everybody's gonna give their answer.
What do you got?
Who will be LSU's head coach in a year? I'm going to go with Cliff Godwin.
So in a year. So who's
going to
be their coach in 20? Who's replacing Paul?
Right.
Yeah.
You don't think Pat Casey, KR?
No, he's out. He's out.
Did you already tweet that? Is that already inked?
Well, LSU kind of put it out, and then Casey put it out today in the Oregonian.
Oh, wow.
I just don't think Pat has the family stuff, and, honestly, when the news came out about Pat, for obvious reasons, a lot of LSU fans weren't real happy about it. So, I think that probably had a little bit to do with it as well. So Pat Casey's out. Kevin O'Sullivan has said he's staying at Florida, and so
I can't shake the feeling that it would make a whole lot of sense for them to make a run at Dan McDonnell, and I don't know why that hasn't gotten more traction. Like if I'm LSU, I mean I'm throwing everything I got at hiring that guy. He's still in his prime. He's not the backside of his career. He's at I don't look. The ACC is not the SEC, and he's got a great thing going at Louisville, but if LSU comes calling, I mean, don't you think he'd have to listen? He was quoted the other day in a report saying, if they call, I'll listen, right? Like, I'll take their call.
He's basically begging to be called.
Yeah, and it's not like Dan McDonnell doesn't know the SEC. He was the recruiting coordinator at Ole Miss during the best stretch of the Mike Bianco era, I would argue. And so I'm with you, Fitzy. They should, for as important as baseball is to LSU, they should, if Dan McDonnell's making $1 million a year, they should pay him $2 million a year. Do whatever. There's no sense messing this up over a couple. I don't know.
Yeah. So the numbers that were the numbers that people have told me were discussed with Casey and Kevin O'Sullivan were between 1.6 and 1.9 million. McDonnell makes just over $1 million. It's a pretty good pay raise, guys.
No brainer.
Come on, if you're starting a program from scratch tomorrow, I mean, if you're making a list of the guys you would hire, I mean, it's I'm not talking about just like guys who have accomplished a lot in their careers, because you want somebody you can lead your program for 15 to 20 years. I mean, you can put Corbin on that list. You can put Sully, Brian O'Connor, Dan McDonald, John Savage, Schlossnagel. I mean, I've always kind of thought of those guys. I mean, Van Horn is, I think, a little older than that group, but otherwise, maybe he's still in that group age-wise. I don't know. That's kind of the elite inner circle guys. Like, if you can get one of those guys, I think you try to get them.
Yep.
One thing I kind of wonder as the search just continues to go on, if Virginia gets to Omaha, does Brian O'Connor suddenly get back in the picture on this job? I mean, Paul would love that.
I don't think if I'm Brian O'Connor, I don't think I'd be comfortable taking over for Paul. Like that, it's somebody who's your best friend. Yeah, that just feels like, that just doesn't feel comfortable to me.
By the way, Tony Bullard took his pre-workout. He just hit another bomb. Arizona Ole Miss tied 3-3 in the fourth. So whatever pre-workout he's taking, I want it.
Yep.
How about Bob Moore hit another bomb today, guys?
Crazy.
Hit two.
So Bob Moore is I don't know if he could get there. We're running out of real estate, but if Bob Moore got to 20 home runs, how crazy would that be? He's not a big person.
No, you're right.
What's he at, 15, 16? I'm going to pull up the D1 baseball player.
You can go to D1Baseball's/team/Arkansas/stats.
Oh, Kendall, that's slow way. Come on.
You could just put his name in the player finder. Hey, Kendall, do you know we got this player finder on the site? It's pretty cool.
By the way, Vandy Chris brings up a good one. Gary Henderson, the new head coach at Utah the other day.
Yeah,
I'm so happy for him. That guy did one hell of a job at Mississippi State. He deserved that Utah job. I'd love to see Hendo in that head coaching position. And they actually just hired Todd Gillums from Kentucky, UK's hitting coach, to be his first full-time assistant. So Todd Gillums moving from that volunteer role at UK over to a full-time role at Utah.
Yep.
He's, and he's had a long history of being a really good Division I coach. When he was at Oregon State as an assistant, when he was John Cohen's assistant at Kentucky, and even as a head coach at Kentucky, he had his share of success, and he coached A.J. Reed, the National Player of the Year, and good job as the pitching coach at Mississippi State. The 1 year that he was the head coach at Mississippi State, they were in Omaha. I mean, absolutely, it's a fantastic hire for Utah. And Gary's been through a lot, and real happy for him to get this chance again.
Yeah.
Don't you guys think that if Gary could give Utah the parallel level of success that he had at Kentucky, I think Utah would be thrilled.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because I mean, Kentucky had some years where they contended for the SEC title. I mean, they weren't there every year, right? But he
was on staff the year they won the SEC title,
right?
Which was what, 06-ish, 05,
yeah, with
something
Cohen,
like that. Yeah.
Will Nate Thompson and Matt Hobbs ever be poached?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Nate Thompson is Tony Vitello 2.0 for me. I mean, different personalities, but similar talents, I feel like.
Yeah. Think about the players that Nate Thompson recruited at Missouri State. I'm going to forget the names, but Jake Berger.
Yeah.
Who was the shortstop? Gosh dang it. On that 2017 team that lost to TCU. Jake, I'll look it up. Boy, that kid was a freak show. Good player.
You're that Friday guy that had that really good year.
Matt Hall was one.
Lefty,
and then they had a big right-hander. Yeah, they actually ironically won the Fayetteville Regional, if memory serves.
No, they were. We're talking about Missouri State, right? I kind of
when they went to play TCU.
No, if I recall, they were in a super regional because I was there. They were in a super regional in Fayetteville, and they lost it.
That's
they won.
That's when they had that rain game, right?
Oh, was that a different year?
Yeah, this is a different year. They won a regional and played TCU, and then they won a regional and had this super at Fayetteville.
I was there for that one. That's right, because Matt Hall won that game. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh yeah, that was a different super regional, right? That was like. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Missouri State's had so many good years that they can run together on you.
I don't think they went to multiple super regionals in that tenure. I could be mistaken.
No, they did.
Let's find this player first. I have the name Jake. It was kind of an unusual name too. Jeremy Ironman. Jeremy
Oh
Ironman.
yeah.
That's right. Third base shortstop. You're right, Mark. I totally forgot. 15 and 17. So hats off.
But the thing is, Matt Hobbs and Nate Thompson have beyond awesome jobs. Gosh, Nick McClary just scalds balls to the right side of the field. Oh, that's a huge out. Huge out. Oh, sorry. Am I ahead of you guys?
Yes, you are.
It's all right.
Sorry.
I now hate you.
Boy, that's a huge out.
Somebody asked, when does Sean Allen get a head coaching job? I thought he should have gotten the Rice job. I think when you look at Sean's credentials, at Houston, at Sam Houston, he's recruited the state of Texas like crazy. He's recruited really well at Texas. I thought he should have gotten that Rice job. Of course, they went with Jose Cruz Jr., who has, I think, 6 months of coaching experience. He did work for MLB's player development department, but he has very limited experience. I think the play there for them is being able to recruit the city of Houston again and get elite players out of the city of Houston. So I get it, but I would have gone with Sean Allen there. I think he certainly deserved a head coaching job.
I will say this. I think some of us, all of us, maybe had some questions when Oregon State hired Mitch Canham because he had zero experience as a college head coach. But at least he did have experience as a minor league manager, and he was a very highly regarded rising star as a minor league manager. Now, there's a big difference between the kind of development work you do as a minor league manager and all the responsibilities you have as a college coach. But I will say this, kind of to Runes' point earlier about how you're going to have to give Willie Bloomquist time to grow into that job. It probably helped Mitch that he got his feet wet last year in a season that didn't wind up counting, because I think that would have been some growing pains. And this year, being around him a little bit in the regional last week, I got a totally different vibe. Like it feels like he is already growing into that job. The culture of the program feels like it's back, close to where he wants it to be, right? Like it almost feels like that 05, 06, 07 culture that they had. He's clearly trying to recreate that. But him and Barney and Gibson and Joey Wong, they know a little bit about how to create a culture, and I believe they can do it. But again, at least he's had experience, as a manager in the minor leagues, which there's a difference there. I mean, I just feel like he was still a safer hire than Bloomquist or Cruz.
Yeah, for sure. Aaron, I'm gonna make you keep talking because Alan Stevens wants to know. He thinks Dallas Baptist has a legit chance of winning the whole thing. You saw him. Do you think they have a chance to win the whole thing?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I do think they could. Certainly, I picked them to win the Super Regional, even though I'm a little nervous because I don't know if Jace Grady and Cole Moore are going to play or not, and I think that makes a huge difference. Now, they proved that they've got some depth and they can, next man up it and have somebody else step forward and come up with a big hit, whether it's Ryan Robleski or, Andrew Benefield or whatever. But those two guys are two of their best players, and they need them healthy. Also, I don't know. I mean, I do feel like, Hamill's got really good stuff at the top of the rotation. Kuba's got solid stuff too. Two really good veterans that they like at the back of the bullpen, but not necessarily wipe out stuff guys. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's so hard to get to Omaha and win it as a program that had never been there. Coastal Carolina was very much the exception. Maybe DBU can do it, but I think just breaking through to Omaha will be such a cathartic thing for them. I would be pretty surprised if they won it all.
Somebody asked me that tonight. What do you guys think? Like these comparisons of Virginia 2021 to Virginia 2015 are unavoidable. I do not see that for Virginia 2021. I can't get past this. The 2015 Virginia team, there was still the bones of a team the year before that was the preseason #1 team and carried that weight all the way to Game 3 of the College World Series. This Virginia team doesn't have any of that history.
Right.
And so for whatever, I just can't, so that's where that comp is failing for me.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you're right. Having played in the finals the year before, I think prepared that team to do what it did in Omaha. But I think the comparisons are, last year there were some expectations for that team.
Mm-hmm. And they were good. They were good last year, right? Didn't they?
Yeah.
They were off to a really good start
They
last year.
They were in the top 25 when the season ended. I also think that this is the best pitching staff they've had since 2015.
Yeah.
I mean, really, and kind of like that team, I believe, if I recall, maybe it was a 14 team. We expected the offense to be the strength, and really the pitching has kind of emerged as the strength.
Mm-hmm.
But the offense has come around late, which kind of did that year also. So,
Fitzy, I'm really concerned about Mike Vassell. Like, I think Dallas Baptist is going to beat Mike Vassell. And they seem committed to him.
I speculated, and I haven't checked to see if there's been any announcements about what the rotation is, but I speculated that at this point, maybe they're better off going with Matt Wyatt as the number 2 starter. I know he doesn't have very much experience as a starter, but they threw him out there in the regional, and it was 5 innings. Was it 5 innings of 2-hit ball or something? It's big stuff. It's 93, 96, and Vassell has struggled. He was not good last week. He was not good in the ACC tournament. Runes, he's allowing hitters something like a 312 batting average on the season. He's been very hittable, even though he throws strikes. I'm with you. That's a piece that, fortunately, I don't think they have to lean upon him, though. They have so much depth and so much versatility with the bullpen. Like, if they do roll him out there and he struggles, you just go with a quick hook, and you've got enough guys there that you can very easily patch it together in the bullpen.
To me, the argument for DBU is kind of, it's not scientific at all. It's kind of the team of destiny thing. Those two come from behind wins against TCU and Oregon State last weekend were unthinkably low percentage to me. Like, right. TCU's bullpen has not done that hardly at all. And, Oregon State, same way. Their bullpen even had a nickname, the Gauntlet. So that was, that's a really intriguing super regional to me.
I agree. I think it's a really fun matchup. And, the park does favor DBU. It's a home run hitting team. It's a home run hitting park. But on the other hand, the fact that Virginia has been there for a week and a half now, they're pretty comfortable there. They've proven that they can beat 2 really good home run hitting teams there already, right? ODU led the nation in homers, and South Carolina's a homer hitting team in their own park, and Virginia beat them both. So you kind of almost throw it out. You guys may appreciate
this. I got a funny text. So you guys know Ryan Robleski, who was the MVP of that regional. His dad, Corey, was my teammate in college and my classmate in college. And Corey sent me a text yesterday saying, "Hey, sitting here with my kids who have just pointed out that you picked neither DBU nor Notre Dame last week." And ... Yeah, his next sentence was, "Sounds like it's time for a performance review." I was like, that both of those things can be true at the same time.
But you will root for Chris Newell.
Yeah, I will always root for Newtown Edgemont Little League alums. That's a fact. So Chris Gennaro, our stud, I don't even know how we describe CG, social media guru.
I don't know. We gotta find a name for him.
He took the best shot at me after squeeze play. He said, because apparently I mentioned the Newtown Edgemont Little League 1982 District 19 champs at least a dozen times, and he sent me a DM afterwards saying, "And by the way, congrats on your 1982 District 19 championship." I was like, message received.
And yet here it is again on the show. I love it.
That's right. Come on now. I got pictures and everything.
Rudes, I'd have to go back and look, but I think it was one of the Barstool guys actually tweeted out about how the weirdness of the athletic position shot on ESPN last week.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Things are getting weird. I think it was something like things are getting weird on squeeze play.
I love it. Things were getting weird on squeeze play.
Don't let any cameras into the press box in Omaha. And we're doing our stretch routine.
Man, yeah.
That's right. We'll have to Instagram live that, Fitzy.
Yeah.
Share it with people.
How did that work? I mean, you were on the air how many hours?
Yeah, it was like 12 hours the first night. It was like
Right.
13 hours, and then like just about 14 hours the third night. Yeah,
And
it
how
was
many
fairly
breaks
nutty.
did you get? I mean,
Yeah, well, it's
just-
kind of like you don't. I don't know how to describe it. Like you don't really get breaks per se. Like yeah, you run to the restroom or you kind of
Right.
disappear for 15 minutes and go eat food,
Mhm.
but you're not like you are mic'd up all the time because of the internet part, but you're
Right.
not on like a television,
Mhm.
you're not on linear television as they would say
Right.
all the time. But yeah, it's but I don't know, like it reminded me of like, okay, you're in your 20s, you're playing fantasy football and you're sitting in a bar all day Sunday watching the games. I mean, I used to do
Yeah.
that for 12 hours and
Right.
I wasn't drinking coffee back then either. So I was drinking something different. So
Right.
yeah, it reminded me of that, but it's a grind. Like Tuesday when I got home, I was pretty
I
shot.
bet. Yeah.
You guys,
So you say you're mic'd up, and did you have like a Lieutenant Drebin moment when you're mic'd up going to the restroom?
Yes, yeah. Actually, sometimes
When you
yeah,
drank the water,
yeah, so-
water was the best. All of a sudden, I'm sitting here listening to Squeaks play, and all of a sudden, I hear water being poured into a cup.
yeah, that's right. Matt Schick was killing me about that. Yeah, that's right.
guys, how about this at bat by Kevin Graham? Is that a 12-13 pitch at bat? Draws a walk.
That's
Ole
amazing.
Miss and he's that guy. Talk about guys that have really matured this year. Mike Bianco was talking about earlier this year. The way he's improved against left-handed pitching is dramatic. They kind of challenged him. You need to get better against left-handed pitching. You need to get better at using all fields, and he's done that too. He used to be just kind of a dead pull guy, and now he's driving the ball the other way. He's always had power, but kind of thought he was just a complimentary 6 or 7 hole guy that can run into one, but is going to hit 250. He's turned himself into a real star, a 3-hole hitter for a super regional team. Yeah. I mean, kudos to him for just working and turning himself into a dude.
Yeah.
No question.
I
whiffed on. That's another whiff for me. I remember seeing Kevin Graham earlier in the year, and I was just like, man, it's just the same old slow bat that just runs into pull bombs, and he's much more than that. That was a complete misevaluation by me.
That was a 9-pitch at bat. We got Tim Elko at the plate with 2 on and nobody out. No drama here at all.
You sure it was just 9? Let me see.
That's what Ole Miss just tweeted out.
Yeah. This is another great atmosphere, Tucson, a sneaky great atmosphere. When they came back from break that one day and they showed that camera, like kind of a drone view from center field. So this place gets electric and certainly hot.
Yeah. It's if you go on a Saturday night when the beer is flowing.
Yes.
I mean, the difference is for that place, it feels to me when I've been there that they're there for the beer much more than the baseball. And hey, there are other places like certainly at Ole Miss, they're into their solo cups, right? But it's still like a real baseball atmosphere. Whereas I don't get that very much in Tucson. Am I wrong about that?
No, they're there for the party, and that is kind of makes it fun. It's kind of like a college football event almost. They are breaking balling Elko to death. Oh no. Gosh, Susak can really throw. I mean, it's a beautiful arm.
He's safe, but that was a pretty throw.
I mean, I'd like to see him kind of set it, like he just kind of leans on that arm strength at times. Like he doesn't really, I wouldn't consider his footwork awesome, but of course he's 6'5" too, or whatever he is, 6'4", but gosh dang, he can throw.
I got a 181 on that guy. Since you prepared me for the throw, I had the stopwatch.
Wow.
181.
Thank you, Hunter, by the way, for that comment. Squeeze play is a blast.
Ooh. Can't believe Elko just watched 95 right on the shoot.
They got him. He's trying to think along with Coach Nathan, and that's not good. It's not good policy. Coach Nathan can call pitches. He's good at it.
Go 1-2.
Got to be a hook, right?
You would think so.
Go ahead, Kara.
No, I was going to say my wife, when I had the game on downstairs before we started this, she saw Tim Elko on the screen and was like, wait a second, that guy's in college?
Yeah.
It does look that way.
What a sunset in the background. Goodness gracious.
Oh, yeah, it's gorgeous down there.
For some reason, it's like every single day of the year they get those. It's nuts.
If you're Coach Nathan calling pitches and you try to sneak a fastball there by Elko, and I don't know that Silseth executed the location Coach Nathan was looking for.
I did not.
That up and away.
Coach Nathan might have gritted his teeth on that one.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's going to be a steady diet of spin from here. Ooh. It's the toughest pitch in baseball,
wow.
the bad breaking ball.
He kind of left it up, but it kind of had a little bit of late tilt back in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, just like he left it in, so it's like an impossible ball to hit.
Yeah. The location was better than the pitch.
Even if you hit it, it's a line foul down the line.
Yeah.
Hey, Runes, we've had a few questions. Runes, we've had a few questions. People asking, "Hey, why isn't the place full for Super Regional? What's the kind of the attendance dynamics there? What's the stadium dynamic?"
Well, it's a massive stadium, so I think the fact that you're seeing some empty seats is a little deceiving. I bet you they have 5,000 people in there. Oh man, that's a wasted opportunity for Ole Miss.
Wow.
You just can't do that against Arizona because their offense is too good. There's a chance that Arizona is going to just absolutely bludgeon the back of Ole Miss's bullpen.
Yeah, I have very little faith in Ole Miss's bullpen outside of Taylor Broadway.
And it's almost like I don't even mean it as it's like I'm with you, KR. I don't have great faith in that bullpen. It feels like some days they're great, some days not so much. I think it's just more the Arizona offense I have grown to have great belief in.
We've already hit 3 bombs, but there's been nobody on base, and that's why we're in a tie game.
Boy, if Silseth, I don't think he's making it back to school next year, but if he does, his numbers he's way more talented than his numbers. He's just a kid that hasn't pitched enough. Like he's another one of like the pandemic has cost him a lot of repetitions.
I think if you're Arizona, you can get out this inning without giving up a run. I think if Silseth can give you 5 and only give up 3, I think that's a win for them. Totally. With how erratic he's been this year.
No question. Mike Bianco, though's got a really tough call, right? Because it's like you're juggling chainsaws with Derek Diamond with where he is in his development right now. And so it's like, do you keep juggling chainsaws or do you decide that it's time to get off the tightrope?
Yeah, he's at 68 pitches through 4.
So while we're on a break, I was talking to CSUN head coach Dave Serrano the other day, and he brought up I didn't really think about this, but Serrano said he's going to be in Omaha, and he said just like he thinks Vandy's going to be there to defend their national championship, he said he plans on being there to defend his Colin Deaver Press Box Award from 2 years ago. So we're looking forward to seeing him over there.
That's right. The 2019 Colin Deaver breakout star of the Press Box, Dave Serrano. He really is a tour de force performance.
He really enjoys that award. He brings it up with me every time I talk to him.
That's right. He liked that.
Well, I think he will find the minus points much more plentiful in year 2.
Yeah. It gets a little bit the standard gets raised a little bit in year 2.
Kendall, we have a question from one Angela Rogers. Which team does KR hate the most? I think, KR, you hate every team not named the Snow Leopards,
Everyone.
The Leopards of Snow.
It's hard to hate the team that Bob Moore is on, but I do think I kind of hate everybody.
Can I give Angela some credit here? I think she shared something on Instagram the other day about time optimism is the gist of it. I think it's like the conversion chart, right? If you say like, oh, well, I'm stuck in traffic, I'll be there in 10 minutes. It means you're just leaving the house, or that's basically the gist of it. So Kendall today, I asked him, hey, where's that Austin preview? That our readers are really chomping at the bit for the Austin preview, He goes, "Oh, well, I just had to put together some porch furniture for 3 hours. It couldn't wait." It's just like classic Ken. I'm just gonna squeeze in the porch furniture project, and then we'll get the Austin preview up there.
I'm kind of one of those people. Well, I'm kind of one of those people. Once I set my mind to it, I just do it. And I kind of set my mind to doing that, so I did it. Real quick, Arizona going with Riley Cooper here. Runes, what are we going to see from Riley Cooper?
Yeah, so he's interesting. I think he's a future starter. So you'll see 3 pitches, in pretty classic fastball, breaking ball to lefties, fastball, changeup to righties. I'm surprised his ERA has climbed to that. I've seen him really good. He's one of those young kids that doesn't know any better. Like, he's aggressive and confident, and the stuff is good. I've seen him 88 to 91. It's better than you'd think. But, this is the whole thing with Coach Yeski. What I think he's done a brilliant job of is he's got this conglomerate of relievers for Arizona. Very few of them are like dominant every time out. And he just kind of goes until you can't go anymore, and he's on to the next guy. He does a really good job getting his relievers out of there before any real damage catches up to them.
Coach Nathan knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's good.
By the way, Ped's Revenge brings up takes a little slide at Serrano and UT, but Serrano made a really good point. He said, "You know what, Tony's done an incredible job, but a lot of those upperclassmen that they brought in were Serrano's recruits. A lot of those older guys."
Mm-hmm. Good breaking ball. It's so funny. You get to this point in the year, boys, and we saw this with Brendan Beck in our game today. Some of these pitchers are so good, you're going to get like one pitch in at bat that you can get on, and you better get on it, because the rest of the stuff is just going to be filth. And, like this at bat right here with McCann, it's like you got a fastball down the way you could have done something with, and now you're going to see a bunch of breaking balls. And now you're fighting for your life. And I think a lot of young hitters, they're stubborn for a fastball down the middle. And what you end up doing is getting a lot of 0-2 counts. And it's just it's no way to live. It's not good policy.
Yeah.
But easy for me to say, right? Haven't had an at bat in 30 years. I got to be careful. I know I'm ahead of you guys.
Oh,
interesting.
Got out of it. Wow. That's big. That's big. Like I said, if you can go 5 innings, give up 3 runs, and Silta stayed in there until the last couple of outs, that's a good day for him.
Sure is. Boy, this next half is interesting. Coach Bianco, what are you going to do?
Question from Hayden Pounds. Which of these teams do you think are better fit to come back from an 0-1 start in the Super and get to Omaha? Ole Miss or Arizona? I mean, Ole Miss has Nikhazy still to come, which
that's one game.
It's one game, but it's not an automatic win. But boy, you sure like your chances with Nikhazy, and then game 3. I don't know. I mean, who wins game 3 in that case? It's just a toss-up.
Is
Arizona going Garrett Irvin tomorrow, Runes?
I think they have to after how he threw last week.
Yeah.
Because their third game starter, is it Austin Smith now? But it feels like they've had a really tight leash with him. Like it's been Austin Smith for 3, almost like an opener.
Oh, and it's worth mentioning, too, just so in case you didn't know, Gil Luna and Randy Absher for Arizona are both out this week, and they were suspended for off-campus altercation or something like that. So Zona is without those 2 guys this week, and Absher, I think, had, I want to say 20-plus appearances this year, and Luna threw for them last week in the regionals. That makes this start even more important.
Yep. Not a good time of the year to get in trouble.
That is not a good time of year to get suspended.
No.
Tim Farmer asks, actually a pretty good question, something that I've thought about myself. Can you explain how Oregon State got a 2 seed without winning a series against a regional team, I assume he's saying, while losing every series versus regional teams in the Pac-12, and losing the Irvine series? Well, the answer is probably just straight RPI.
Exactly.
But I'm with you. I mean, I think it was a 3-seed resume, not a 2-seed resume. They did not beat the good teams they played.
22. There's your answer.
There's your answer.
What was it, USD, who didn't make the field and played 2 teams with a winning record? Or 2 games with a winning record or something?
No,
like
they played 2 series. They
played
played San Diego State and Gonzaga.
San Diego State. Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, Marcus, I got a question for you. How do you keep historical RPIs? Do you have like a system, or do you have where do you go when you want to dive into RPI history?
I've captured it over the years, so I have it.
So you have it like in an Excel spreadsheet or something like that?
Yeah, it's a little program. Yeah, and I remember them all.
Well, I mean, Hayden here says Mark Gethard is a big RPI guy. Is the comment? So, you care to defend yourself, Mark?
No, I don't think so.
Mark, what was St. Peter's RPI 3 years ago?
Last 293.
Worse than Mississippi Valley State.
The year that they didn't win a game, yeah.
Tim, yes, we do understand how the RPI is gamed. We're not saying Oregon State should have been a 2-seed because they had a strong RPI. We're answering the question. They were a 2-seed because they had a strong RPI, because the committee uses the RPI as a crutch. We're not saying they should use the RPI as a crutch. In fact, we've railed against that for years and years.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing that's a question I often get is, well, why do you have so-and-so, in this case, Oregon State, projected as a 2? Well, we're just simply simulating what we feel the committee is going to do. And over the years, RPI has been maybe overvalued and sometimes not. But there are times when it's overly relied on, and I felt like this year they really did not understand the difference between what an SEC team did, who played a traditional schedule. Big Ten MAC, they understood that they couldn't use it there. But those teams in the middle who played, fewer games, and a higher percentage of those games were inside the conference, that shrinks your RPI, shrinks your interconnectivity, and your RPI. You couldn't evaluate it the same way you typically do. And
hey boys, you got to watch this pitch. This could change this game.
It's my boy Jackie Bradley Jr.
Watch this pitch. Tell me when you catch up.
I got a foul tip.
2-2. Yeah, 2-2, 74 pitches.
So if Dunhurst catches that, you get the leadoff hitter out. But he doesn't, and you give Dante more life. And it seems like there's a high percentage chance that Dante Williams is going to get on base here. And that could be the end of Derek Diamond's evening.
75 pitches?
Well, just because, I mean, not that they're taking him out after this hitter, but the difference between Williams getting on or getting the first out in this inning to me is massive. Gosh dang, what a good at bat.
Runes, I've been so impressed with Dante's, just his maturation as a hitter. I mean, I always kind of thought earlier in his career he was kind of slap and dash guy, wasn't he? I mean, he's become somebody who's a really tough out and drives the ball.
I see what that coach meant, though. Like, when you see him step in the box, he looks very Jackie-ish.
I mean, he's actually thicker than Jackie.
Yeah, he's a little thicker in the legs for sure.
Yeah, not that catching a foul tip is easy, but like if you're Derek Diamond, he's just not. At his stage of his development, he's not capable of making the pitches to get Dante Williams out over and over again. And he made one, and he didn't get the out, and now he's vulnerable.
What do you throw on 3-2, Runes?
It really is. It's whatever Diamond can command the best is what I'd go with.
He just spiked the slider about 55 feet.
It was bad. Yeah,
it gets worse. What do you guys see the next pitch?
Bat.
Yeah, I think you're caught up with me, Kendall.
That's a grown-ass man at bat right there.
Yeah, well done. Fastball kind of lower middle, just serves it the other way.
Yeah, it's an elite at bat. It really is.
Hey, let's pause and take, I think, a priority question here. Riley Rogers wants to know, what's your favorite part of the College World Series? Parentheses, hi, Daddy.
Nice.
Kendall, I think this one's for you.
I mean, this year it's got to be the Drover, right? This is 2 years with no Drover, so
that's a good answer.
It's going to be awesome to see everyone.
Over under on how many times we go to the Drover this year. I'm gonna go 3. I'm gonna go more than 2.5.
Oh, over. I mean,
over on 2.5.
That's a no-brainer. It's. I would set it more like 4.5. we're gonna get our money's worth this year.
It's awesome.
We're gonna get Kyle's money's worth.
That's right. It's a deduction.
We got Chris Gennaro going out to Omaha for at least the first few days. Patrick Ebert will be in the house for a couple days.
Stitch Hat, I believe, will be there.
Yeah, Stitch. Yeah.
Television's Mike Rooney.
I don't know if Lady Stitch will be there with Stitch, though.
I'm sure. Doesn't she come every year, Mandy?
Yeah, I talked to Eric, and he said she's got some stuff going on. She may not be able to make it this year.
Yeah, I guess that
jobs and stuff.
The Hollywood stuff, when it's on, right? It's like kind of one of those things.
Well, you would know. Television's
right.
Mike Rooney.
I would not know. Oh, that's funny.
We got a pitching change here, guys.
If we're still on here at 7th inning stretch, are you going to lead us in some stretches?
I don't think I'm going to make it to the 7th inning stretch.
Yeah, I think we can call it a night here in a little bit.
But yeah, I did stretch today. This is a whole game. It's a long time to be sitting down for. I believe in stretching every day. KR.
Your game tomorrow's at 1 o'clock.
No, it's 2 Central. Yep, it's 12 noon. Oh, I hope. I should check. Honestly, don't want to be late. That'd be a bad look.
Red Raiders starting at Monteverde tomorrow or Montgomery?
They said Monteverde. Yeah, Monteverde.
Interesting.
Williams.
2 Central all 3 days.
What do you got on Monteverde, KR? What's his best pitch? Does he have one?
Yeah, so I saw him. I've actually seen him twice this year. He's got a decent slider. When I saw him, he was 80, kind of 88, 90, up to 91. His MO is command. If he can command the slider and command the fastball, he's going to be really good. If he's not getting the edges, and he's being squeezed a little bit, he's going to have a really tough time, especially against that lineup. I mean, the wild card for me is Stanford's lineup. I mean, they looked very good today, and so we'll see if they can kind of carry that over. But yeah, commands his MO. If he's not commanding very well, he doesn't have the stuff to get guys out without immaculate command.
Because they're swinging, by the way. Stanford they put up some crazy stat that 18 of the first 27 Stanford hitters had offered at the first or second pitch. So they're up there in hack mode. So you just worry about guys like Monteverde that don't have elite stuff. Does he run into a bunch of barrels?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, the guy that stood out for me for Stanford this year, because I've only briefly seen him this year. Boy, he looks the part, is Drew Bowser. That's a good-looking frame.
Did you guys see that home run he hit today?
Yeah. He hit it hard.
Flashed some leather too. He was a big-time blue-chip recruit, and boy, he's living up to it. It's a pretty special talent.
Yeah.
By the way, Vandy Chris is trying to needle Aaron on the Whistler. I can tell you that Aaron had the Vanderbilt game on mute by the top of the second.
I couldn't get through one full inning. I tried. And listen, guys, in fact, I've really made an effort not to talk about this anymore. I don't I get it. Nobody wants to hear media people complain about things that fans are doing, but my God. Come on, guys. It just ruins the experience. It's got to a point where I dread even going to Nashville to cover a game, especially in the postseason, because he's hyperactive. Because it's just ear piercing. It's a menace. It is a menace. It's the worst thing in college baseball right now.
Well, I watch a lot of college baseball on television, and because Vanderbilt happens to be really good and playing a lot of big games, I end up watching a lot of Vanderbilt. So it's almost to the point where I don't hear it anymore.
I thought I was going to get there.
At least I thought. But about the 7th inning today, I start going, And I'm not even aware that I'm doing it. It's like I'm being hypnotized or something. It was so if I'd like, go out and commit a mass murder tonight, blame the whistler.
That's right.
We're at least 7 years into this blight on college baseball, and you think we'd all be numb to it. I'm not. I couldn't get through an inning, and I want to listen to Clay and Ben. I really I was excited. Those guys a good booth, and I couldn't get through an inning with the sound on. It's just too much. Every time I unmuted, instantly you hear whistle, 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 mute. I mean, I can't. It's just brutal. It's just brutal.
Hey, by the way, boys, 2 good questions in the chat. One question from Vandy Chris: how does ECU's lineup match up with Leiter? I really like Logan Crow's question. Is there going to, with all the proliferation of home runs this year, is that going to carry over to TD Ameritrade, or does the wind and TD Ameritrade's kind of suffocate some of that out?
Mm-hmm. It depends on what direction the wind's blowing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
every day could be different.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, I'm pretty sure most of the days the wind was actually blowing in from the north, so it was blowing straight out.
Oh, boy.
Ooh.
That sounds like action.
That dog will hunt.
I have no idea.
Yeah. We'll let you know in 13 seconds.
Oh.
Is that Tony Bullard again?
Jacob Berry.
Oh, man, on 5-3.
And this is not a home run park, even though it's an offensive park. And they've got 4 home runs now in this game.
Boy, Jacob Berry.
No doubt.
Yeah. That is crazy.
Well, one of them was a doubter. It was a double.
One of them, yeah.
And then it got turned into a homer.
Right, the Dante Williams one. But the other 3 were all tagged.
Yeah, and that
Michael Lev just tweeted out that the TrackMan in the press box had that at 444 feet.
Ooh,
that's a
good
bomb.
Gosh,
that'll play.
The problem is, Ole Miss needs 15 outs from here, and I don't know that they have that in them.
Man, that looked a lot harder off the bat.
Change up or something.
They can always go to the guy who walks around talking to himself on the mound.
What the heck was that
Wes
pitch?
Burton.
Yeah, there you go.
Was it just fastball?
Let's see here.
It was just kind of floating.
Looked like a bad changeup, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It did, yeah.
But, I mean, gosh, it's weird to see a kid hit a changeup like that. Oof, he killed that. You know what I mean? Like, usually if you hit a bomb on a changeup, it's going to be pull because
Yeah.
It's definitely a changeup. You're right, Runes. That's weird.
I mean, that's really staying on the baseball right there. Like, you drive a changeup out the dead center. I don't recall ever seeing that, honestly. Good God.
That was touched.
That was touched, as the great Coach Neal would say. You know, boys, who's a good crew? There's a lot of good crews doing these super regionals. The crew that I really enjoy, Mike Morgan and Todd Walker, they have become a really good match. I don't know if you guys caught the commentary. Todd Walker is calling the games from a doctor's office.
I heard that. What's the deal with that? He says he's got to chase the good internet. Like, you can't get internet out in your hunting lodge.
Because those guys live in the country. You know, Clay Matvick has the same situation. He had to rent an office space in town because he lives out in the country. Do you know Clay Matvick has cows on his land right now?
Where does he live?
Kind of the way suburbs of St. Paul, Minneapolis.
That's right.
Interesting.
Clay's another. We have great play-by-play guys at ESPN. Clay's another guy I could listen to all day.
It's the pros pro.
Pros pro.
Got a lot of those guys.
Yeah.
The talent we have in college baseball right now on TV. I mean, it just shows you how much ESPN cares about it and how much they've invested, because it's great. We've got consistency from week to week over the course of the season with people who do it all year long. Yes, you got some guys that parachute in at the end, but like those are baseball guys too, and it's really we're lucky. We're lucky to have the kind of presence that the game has on TV compared to where it was 15 years ago. I was thinking about being at not even that long ago, like a decade ago, and trying to stream games and regionals. Like 2011, I was in Santa Clara watching Dallas Baptist and Cal in a super, and I'm trying to get like other games on my phone, and it's like the one camera setup from on top of the press box. I vividly remember that. It was brutal. And 10 years later, look where we are.
It's awesome. Yeah, and even in doing squeeze play, I got to experience that. Like, who has not done a lot of baseball in previous years, but who really is talented is Anish Shroff. And is really, I didn't realize, because he kind of gets labeled as a lacrosse guy. Anish is really into baseball. Like growing up in North Jersey, a Yankees fan, he's really into it. Him and Keith Moreland did an awesome job last week, I thought.
I think I told you the story one time. I was at a wedding with Anish. Our mutual friend got married, and we wound up arguing for a while about former Yankees first-round pick Cito Culver. Anish was all in on that pick. I was skeptical. I was right. It turned out. Throw that out there.
You know what else was fun last week was TV's Tom Hart and KP in those blowout games, because you just never know where T Hart's going to go. And KP being along for the ride for that was awesome. It was so great. I think there was the one game, it was a wicked blowout, and we tuned in. What the heck was Tom? This you couldn't guess this. It was like Shakespearean plays they might as well have been talking about in the middle of a regional game. It was awesome.
I caught some of that. That was great. Actually, this is a good question from Tim Farmer. Thoughts on the regional format? I know we've discussed this plenty of times over the years, but it's worth revisiting, I think, right now, especially after, as every year, we saw examples of pitchers coming back on short rests that kind of don't give college baseball, in my opinion, a very good look. Can we do something about this? Like, how far away do you think we are from having, 3 straight weekends of best of 3 series on the way to Omaha?
I say it's going to happen within the next 3 or 4 years.
So you think there's enough? Make the calendar work. You have to make the calendar work. So are you going to push Omaha back a week, or are you going to push everything up a week? Your conference tournaments.
Sure.
Back a week.
Right.
I think Omaha going back a week is workable. Yeah. I don't think there's anything compelling on the calendar a week after Omaha.
The pushback on that has always been budgetary, keeping people another week, housing them for everyone for another week, because it's not just those teams in Omaha. It's if the whole postseason moves back a week, you're affecting a whole lot of teams. That's a whole lot of budget that a lot of programs don't have.
Well, it's just 64 though, isn't it? Like, it's just the 64, and half of them are eliminated after 1 week.
So you're not going to push your conference tournaments back. You're just going to.
I'm saying just move the College World Series back.
Just regionals. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're talking about 64. But so then,
but not really, because in right now in the regional weekend, the regional weekend now would become, I think you'd call it first round weekend next year, right? So this year we eliminated 48 teams regional weekend. Right. Next year, whatever year, we'd be eliminating 32. Right. Yeah. So it would be an extra expense for 16 teams. Honestly, I think ESPN would have a real challenge on their hands, because for them, televising. So right now they televise 16 sites, which is expensive. So then they'd be televising 48 sites, 32 the first weekend and 16 that next weekend. So, or they'd be televising an extra 32 sites is what it would be, plus 32. But I'll tell you, the argument for it, is it's more money for the NCAA because it's more gate, more concessions because it's more games. It's a bigger TV package to sell the next round. So again, I'm going to get fired by ESPN for saying this, but like in theory, that's a better. But I think the benefit to ESPN is it's a better product, right? Like I think it's. Overall, you're buying a better product.
And I would argue too that it helps kind of build college baseball in areas that otherwise would never have a postseason.
Most important reason right there.
Right.
Yeah, like let's say Indiana State, for instance, this year might have actually hosted like a first round regional or a first round series.
Well, certainly Gonzaga would have hosted. Connecticut would have hosted.
Nebraska,
Nebraska,
Maryland. I mean, some of these Big Ten teams, like this is the way that you can get the Big Ten to really invest in baseball, is to share with them the excitement of having postseason baseball on your campus. I've heard that argument before. Like that's helped Indiana's program. Like that administration is all in on baseball now, and part of it is because they've got to experience what it's like to have a home regional, and like it's just a very cool thing. If we're talking about growing the game nationally, I think that's
VCU was a 2 seed this year.
Yeah.
They would have hosted.
Yeah, exactly.
So the other part of this, in the part that really rubs me the wrong way, is it begs coaches to bring back pitchers on short rest.
Yep.
It absolutely begs. And the other part of that is the coaches who don't do it, they're at a disadvantage for not rushing their guys back. And that's the part that kind of, if they're, quote, doing the right thing, and I'm not making a moral judgment here, don't go there. But if they're, quote, being very careful with their guys, they're pushing uphill, right?
The way
they're
I
throwing
think
guys
about
who
it
hadn't
is,
pitched it.
Yeah, think of it. The way I think of it is this: like, okay, because if we go to the 32 hosts idea, I still think we are going to have some coaches throw their ace in relief on Sunday 2 days later, but I think it'll be less because, again, they've been preparing their team for 3-game series for 15 weeks ahead of it, right? And that coach, in many ways, deserves to get blistered because it's like, come on, man, you've had 15 weeks to get ready for a 3-game weekend. Like, let's go. Right now, this extra throwing is happening in game 5 of a weekend.
Right.
And, it's like, hey, all year you're going to play 3 games, but most important weekend of the year, let's just do 5. And it just doesn't make sense.
Like I don't think Mike Bianco is bringing Doug Nikhazy back in a 3-game series.
No,
you wouldn't think so.
Or maybe for an out, right? Something like that. But it's not going to be, an extended.
But and remember, guys, in a 3-game series, you'd see a lot of what we saw today, right? Like you'd see, hey, if a game gets out of hand, you structure your pitching for the weekend. I'll tell you the other thing I like is every game would be played in front of a sellout crowd.
Exactly. That's I mean, we got so many games right now where, it's a Saturday morning elimination game between
there's no one there.
And there's nobody there, or even like, what if you got a winner's bracket game between the non-hosts? I mean, then you got a championship game to advance, and it's partially attended in a lot of cases.
Here's another thing.
It's a lot easier to get in if you have any kind of weather. It's a lot easier to fit 1 game a day in than
Oh, absolutely.
Here's another thing, guys. Think about now. This is not perfect apples to apples, but I think it's stay with me on this. So Central Michigan was a regional finalist this year, right? But did their school community really get engaged in that, or did it happen too quick? It was all in the course of 1 weekend. In the 32 host format, in theory, Central Michigan wins a first-round matchup. They make the postseason. The school gets excited, sort of, and they actually win a weekend, and they extend it by another week. So think about the momentum and the mileage the program gets out of that. It's like, hey, now the school can really get engaged because it wasn't just because some of these schools have great years, and they show up. They play Friday afternoon. They get beat. They get beat Saturday morning. And the fan base is like, hey, I thought we were good at baseball this year. Is it really over this quick?
Mm-hmm.
Great point, Runes. I mean, we've solved it. We fixed college baseball.
Problem solved.
The other side of this is that, I'll send a tweet.
Have we given you everything you need to sign the DLF?
So here's playing devil's advocate. Here's the other side of this. You only need 2 pitchers in a regional in this best of 3 format. So
even better
if that's okay, if you're not rewarding teams that have pitching depth, that's part of the game. That's what I always hear, right? Regional format, we get to see, we get to see depth. It's not just roll out 2 guys and
we're still using
closer and you're done.
And we're still using Doug Nikhazy on 1 day arrest after throwing 119 pitches and a game that you led 10-2, by the way. If you need to bring that guy in a game to protect the 10-2 lead on 1 day, I don't want to hear about the pitching depth. We're setting these coaches up to fail and to make the game look bad if we use this regional format. We need to move on from it.
Yeah, honestly, I'll
I'm
play
on
devil's
board.
advocate here for a second. I think there's only two real arguments against the idea. One, well, I'll give you 2.5. One is, like the Vandys of the world won't like this idea because, Vandy's typically getting a 4 seed that is really handleable. Like Vandy has they've dominated the regionals. So if you're Tim Corbin, you're thinking, well, why would I want to take 2 weeks to dominate people instead of 1 week? Now, my argument to Matt would be, hey, it wasn't that long ago that you weren't dominating regionals. So maybe we want to rethink that position. So that's one argument. The other argument is, hey, like somebody's legitimately got to sell this to ESPN. Like they're going to have to televise 32 more 3-game series or farm that out. I think actually that's the idea. ESPN farm, they keep 16, they farm out 16. There's plenty of Flow Sports, whatever. There's got to be a way to generate revenue off of that somehow. But honestly, this is the saddest part. You know what's the real hurdle here? It's a change. It's not the same it's not the thing we've always done. Like that's the biggest hurdle is inertia.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with what you said. I think one other thing to think about, some resistance is going to be you have the spectacle of having the county fair, right? You have 4 fan bases in one place, and there's some allure to that because we don't get many tournaments, right? We don't get that many format. So that paired with the tradition of the way it's always been and its change, I think that's where some of that resistance comes from. Now, having said all that, I mean, this is not a good look for our sport, bringing these guys back like this.
Nope.
It's just not. It's, the college coaches, there's a lot of people out there who love to pounce on it, right? When there's, any little impropriety as far as overusage, and there are some legitimate opportunities for, to poke and prod this year, and so I do think we kind of need to save. We kind of need to save coaches from themselves, right?
Yep.
Because that's what's happening. That if you give them a choice, they're going to try to win the game and do whatever they have to do under, within the boundaries, and every coach's boundary is going to be a little bit different.
Yeah. But it's like, hey, if you're a pro team and you really like and you end up drafting an Ole Miss pitching recruit, I mean, are you not going to show that family Keith Law's timeline? I mean, I think you are. I think you're going to document that for that family. And so I'm not saying it's going to hamstring Ole Miss's pitching recruiting, but it could hurt them for a guy or two. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we got Tyler Myers back out there for the 6th.
Yeah. He threw really well in Hoover a couple weeks ago.
What, 7 innings, right?
Yeah.
He actually really just made one bad pitch last inning. I mean, he showed pretty good composure to come back and finish that inning. Arizona's just so tough, man. They stand in there. They're just so dialed in. Oh, boy.
Boy, their gaps at that place seem so huge.
Yeah.
I can't believe how hot Bullard is right now.
Oh, did he get this one too? Yeah, and whenever you see a guy driving the ball middle away like this, Runes, I mean, that's
Yeah.
I don't know what his usual approach is. I haven't gotten to see Arizona play very much this year. I don't get the Pac-12 network, but to me that spells dialed. When you're driving balls that way.
Boy, he runs good for a big man now. That shouldn't be a triple.
He has some long legs. That ump is right on that. It was a good positioning by that ump.
I feel like his right hand got in quicker, though. Let's see. Yeah.
Oof.
So some rough camera angles. You think we could get a look where there's not 3 people in front?
They won't be able to overturn that.
was closer than I expected it to be.
Yeah, me too. I think his right hand is the key hand.
Yeah.
It's really
even
good.
This camera angle is blurry.
It was a good tag. I mean, Bench did the best he could to get that tag there.
I think he's in. He's literally, I think, in by a fingertip.
Yep.
It's just hard to tell. There's no way you can overturn that.
I was surprised they overturned they turned the double into a home run earlier. That seemed inconclusive as heck, but it could be that they know something about the dimensions that we don't know.
Yeah, well, what Wes pointed out on the broadcast is it changed direction right before it hit the line. Yeah. You could see it move.
Ooh!
And
How about our guys Wes and Roxy get a super regional?
Yeah, love it.
It's
we talk so much about the South and whatnot, and media that care about college baseball in the South, but I give Wes, Roxy, and Michael Love is a really good writer out there.
He is a really good writer. It's a good call.
For the Tucson newspaper. Those guys are all really, really strong college baseball advocates.
It's one of my favorite parts of squeeze play and the old bases loaded is, after that long day, go back to the room, pour a glass of red wine, and listen to Wes and Roxy talk college baseball because they always have the last game of the night.
Mm-hmm.
It is because for just the reason you said, KR, because they're not kind of faking their way through it. They truly love college baseball.
Didn't Wes win a national championship at Arizona?
Yeah, he's on the 1980 team.
He's a legend.
Yeah,
he's a legend there.
Hall of Fame. He's in their Hall of Fame. Yep.
Yeah.
How about this? Here's another fact about Wes. Do you know he did not play high school baseball?
That did not
really.
Wow.
He played golf and basketball. He was really he went to Crenshaw High School, which is a big basketball school. So he's a big time basketball player. He went to El Camino College to play basketball, and then he played baseball there, and then realized that, hey, what am I doing? Like, my future in basketball is like nothing. I was a great high school player, and kind of just picked up baseball late. That's back when the California JUCO system was super legit. Like that back in that era, guys, nobody played more baseball than California JUCOs. They played games every day in the fall. They played unlimited games in the spring. They just got so many reps. And now it's completely the opposite. Nobody plays less baseball than California Junior College.
Right. I was last time I saw Wes in person, I was at Long Beach State on a random midweek game, and we saw Spencer Torkelson hit 2 torque bombs at night at Blair Field, which was a pretty impressive introduction to Spencer Torkelson. I think he was a true freshman.
That is impressive. Got to love it. I really like both of these coaching staffs. Sometimes I think about that, like what a big deal it is for a coaching staff to get to Omaha. And I love the guys at Ole Miss. I love the guys at Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
That's a nice play. Just seeing Dave Long coaching third, it's like, hey, more
Lonnie.
Trips for Lonnie to Omaha. I'm down.
That is great. And
gotta love
Jay.
Go ahead.
I should say Jay coached third base for a long time. I'm surprised he gave it up.
Yeah.
Big little insurance run here for Arizona.
Something about I think Jay does a really good job of. I think about guys. This is on the hitter side, but I feel like Arizona under Jay Johnson has had guys. They're hitters that kind of fall out of the lineup, and whatever he does in their hitting work, like he can keep guys alive when normally there's a lot of programs when a guy comes out of the lineup they're kind of gone for good, but like Otremba is another one. Otremba disappeared and then he's back in there. And because Blake Paul was the guy earlier in the year. And same thing with Bullard. Bullard wasn't playing earlier in the year. And now these guys are crushing.
Ruins, what happened with Jacob Bloss? Did he just get beaten out or did he get hurt?
I don't know what the current status is. I feel like he had a back injury that he couldn't get right. But I would also say, and again, I'm just speculating, but I would also say yes to the second part, right? Like when they put Nick McClary at shortstop, it did clean up a bunch of things. And of course, Bloss getting out put Bullard in. So, but I do feel like Bloss had a back thing that they were really struggling to get right.
Okay.
And those are tricky injuries. It's like swinging a baseball bat is not good for a balky back.
How do you feel, Runes, about the Arizona bullpen now? Up 3 runs with, 9 outs to get?
I think even with Abshir and Luna out, they're still fine. I think they've got a lot of volume down there, but I think it could catch up with them later in the Super. But I think for the purposes of this game, they'll be fine. Plenty of options. I'll be interested. Like I've seen Riley Cooper do this a bunch. Its name is Riley Cooper, right? The little lefty they got in there right now. Who's the catcher on the 2012 team? Not Riley Cooper.
Riley Moore.
Gosh dang it! I always want to call him Riley Cooper. Too many Rileys.
Well, there's another Riley Cooper, of course, Florida.
Football player.
Yeah, the football player, Eagle. Yeah. There's Riley Rogers also, who was on the chat earlier.
She was. She
One of
should
our
be
top
in bed right now.
commenters.
It's 10:40.
She better be in
It's
bed.
10:40. She needs to be in bed.
Well, I mean, Snow Leopard season's over, Kendall. I mean, I think she didn't have to worry about curfew anymore.
That's right. Gosh, the Snow Leopards run a tight ship.
I gotta admit, my kids do kind of like the Hogs a little bit.
The baby
Why wouldn't
backs.
They
baby
always
backs.
notice when the Hogs are on.
Gentlemen, I got to take the dogs out, and then I'm going to try and prep a little bit for tomorrow and go from there.
It probably
It was a
is.
pleasure.
Have a good call.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Runes, you're the best. In case I haven't told you that in a while.
Oh,
Thanks for joining
this
us.
This is awesome. Thanks for having me. This has been this has been a great. How many months has this been? October. Gosh dang, it's been a great 8 months.
Blast.
Love this.
Blast. Go get him tomorrow.
Hey, one final question. We get to Omaha, and I hear there's some D1 baseball swag in our future. Are we just getting aggressive and cutting the sleeves off of those T-shirts and just going suns out, guns out in Omaha, or is that unprofessional?
Straight Belichick.
Don't stop with the shirts. Do the pants too.
Go jorts. With
We
the
should all
D1
just roll in the
baseball
we should
T-shirt.
all roll in the press box with cut off shirts.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
gosh.
Make
jorts.
sure it's
belly.
6 feet away from it.
Yeah.
The jorts in honor of Anthony Marks, the former Coastal Carolina great.
Pretty good.
Showed up at his first fall practice as a freshman wearing jean shorts and a wife beater, I believe.
Did I tell you guys? Okay, I'll leave you guys with this story. So I may have shared this with you. Pardon the redundancy. So we didn't know during squeeze play we were going to be behind a see-through table. That was not pre-disclosed information. So, but it's 12 hours a day. So I'm sorry, I'm not wearing dress shoes. That's not happening.
Rocking the New Balance.
So I had my New Balances on, and I got a lot of compliments on my New Balance actually. But people that are kind of shoe snobs, I did not get compliments on the New Balance from them. And Kelly Murphy, Pat Murphy's daughter, who's married to Pedro Alvarez, they're very good friends. They're awesome people. I love Pedro and Kelly. So Pedro obviously takes his shoe game very seriously. So Kelly, who's awesome, she texts Murph and she says, "Hey, I need Runes' shoe size. We have got to clean that up." that was her comment on my New Balances. So there you have it.
I'm excited to see what you get.
That's I'm getting nothing, right? I'm not letting the Alvarezes send me Jordans. Come on, it's too. I don't even know what I would do. I wouldn't even know. That's too stylistic for me. Fitzy.
That would be, dude. If you rock some J's in Omaha, that'd be awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Some
Well, maybe I
J's.
do need to revisit it. Yeah.
I had some J's back in the day.
You probably wore them with your Rasheed Wallace jersey, right, Kendall?
I
Carolina Rasheed
still
Wallace.
have it up in the closet in there.
Love
That's
it.
awesome. Gentlemen, have a good night. We'll catch you tomorrow.
All right,
Yep.
Runes.
Be
Sleep
good.
well.
We'll close
you,
this
boys.
thing out the half inning, the 7th inning stretch.
You know, my wife suggested actually that we change our marketing, call this the D1 Baseball 7th inning stretch, and we just, I don't know. We'll think about it. I kind of like that idea. If we just started at the 7th inning stretch and we just go to the end, kind of catchy.
I mean, I'm good with going to the end. I'm gonna be sitting here watching the game anyway. Might as well talk to you, knuckleheads.
No, I think we should wrap it at the half inning mark, but give these people a respite. But you know, we've got a lot of people hanging with us here, though. Thanks to our viewers,
Yeah.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah, like I said, I got this.
Yeah,
I got this idea from my man Matt Moscona down in Baton Rouge, and I thought it was pretty fun. So I said, why not try it out? It's not very often that we're all not at games and watching games on the TV. So, and of course, I'll be over in Austin tomorrow, Game 1. South Florida and Texas, the Super we all picked. I mean, I know I picked South Florida to advance out of Gainesville. So
I actually had South Florida and Omaha in my preseason bracket.
Sure you did.
keep an eye on those guys. You know, I was talking to a coach in the American yesterday, and he said he really liked Josiak. He really liked Colin Sullivan. He said their lineup, is pretty good at the top. So you never know, man. They're playing with house money. You just never know.
You know who else I like is Orion Kirkering in the bullpen. He's got a great name. He's got a great name.
That was a 95, right?
He was really good in the final. I mean, he went extended innings, and he was almost unhittable.
It's like a slingy arm action. 1990. When I saw him a couple years ago, it's been a while, but it was like 1994. Pretty good sweepy slider, and he, could tell that he had a bright future. Him and Jasiak both were kind of the key foundational pieces 2 years ago, and see them put it all together now is pretty neat.
Yeah, they've had some guys step up. Walter Villa for us wrote a really nice feature on Jarrett Eaton last week at that regional, and he's his numbers aren't great, but he had a really nice performance in that regional against South Alabama. Nelson Rivera, guys like that, they've all kind of stepped up. Happy for Billy Mole too. I've kind of always felt like he was a solid coach, and
of course
they had a rough year, and I wasn't sure what the future might look like for him in that program, but obviously, they're stable now.
Well, he was a big part of success that Mark Kingston had in South Florida. I mean, he was the pitching coach there.
No doubt.
So yeah, definitely a great guy, and happy for him. I agree with you. Kendall, there's a request for you to sign autographs in Omaha this year. What do you think?
Who said that? Was that my kid again?
CJ B-Ball 88 wants to know.
Only for that person.
There you go.
I mean, if you sign one, I mean, everybody's going to see it. It's going to be crowds. You're going to have to get the police involved for crowd control. I mean, we all know where this is going.
Well, it is a COVID era, so we're going to have to test everyone before I'm willing to sign autographs. But
you'll do virtual autographs, or what are the things that? What's the big thing everybody's doing now, like selling impressions or something? I'm not hip enough to understand.
By the way, guys, it's been real. We're actually at the 2-hour 1-minute mark. It's the middle of the 7th inning. I'm gonna go stretch. It's been a long night.
Yeah.
This has been an awesome idea. I will be in Austin tomorrow for South Florida versus Texas. Aaron and Mark will have you covered on the running diary. By the way, if you're not reading the running diary, it is the best thing on D1 Baseball right now. Mark has literally been the MVP of D1 Baseball the last couple of weeks. He's going to let Aaron add some things to it tomorrow. So we'll have that. Yeah, exactly. If he behaves himself, if he's a good boy. And then we'll have Walter Villa in Nashville again tomorrow. We'll see if Vandy can close out with Jack Leiter on the mound. And then the most interesting man in America, other than Eric Sorensen, Shotgun Spratling, is in Starkville. I'm kind of disappointed that we did not send a video crew with Shotgun to Starkville. I feel like that'd be pretty interesting. But we'll have you covered at D1 Baseball, like I said earlier. Thanks again to Home Field Apparel. By the way, LSU fans, Notre Dame fans, like I mentioned earlier, they're launching stuff, I think, today and tomorrow for LSU and Notre Dame. Go ahead, Aaron.
And yeah, well, I mean, we got to make sure we thank our primary postseason sponsors, the good folks at DeMarini, Louisville Slugger, Wilson. I mean, we're talking about a big time brand here that's on board with us for this college baseball postseason run. Check those guys out. I mean, if you're looking for a bat, why would you look anywhere else? I don't even know why you would.
And while we're giving shout outs to sponsors, we got to also mention Win Reality. I looked at my bracket the other day, the D1 Baseball Win Reality Bracket Challenge. I feel okay. I'm like in the 400 somewhere. That's not great, but it's not terrible. So I'm feeling okay about it. But there's a lot of time here for people to jockey for position on the leaderboard for the D1 Baseball Bracket Challenge. You
got a shot, Raj. You're in that thing. When you got the expertise, Kendall, that you've got. I mean, I don't know how the rest of us can even hope to compete. I don't even know why we had a competition.
Ooh. By the way, I was going to close this thing out. Keith Patrick, when a fine Texas Tech fan says he will be selling Kendall Rogers autographs for beers. That's a great idea. It's a great idea. We're gonna close this out on that note. Well, we'll have a lot more on D1 Baseball tomorrow, guys. Appreciate I think we got it to about 130, 140. The 130, 140 people that were bored enough to listen to us rant about college baseball for a couple hours. But until next time, everybody have a good night.